What's up, ladies and gents? It's your boy Vusi Max. This is a very different kind of video that I'm doing today. So I think it might finally be the time for me to get into Bitcoin. And if you've been trading also, I think you should too. So in this video, we're just gonna go through the whole process of why I think so. Then I'm gonna show you the signs that I'm seeing on this market, and that's when we'll get to a conclusion at the end of the video, obviously. So
it's not personal, son. It's strictly business.
what you're seeing right now is the little analysis rundown that I did. This is on the weekly time frame, obviously. So I was looking at this chart from a very zoomed out perspective, right? Let me rather say a long-term perspective. So like this analysis that you're seeing right now, I just like pulled it out of the head like in like 5 minutes. But like, as much as it seems like, okay, so looking at what's happening here, let me just rather size it properly. Yeah, so looking at what's happening here, we have the top, we sort of like have a descending channel, right? So in this descending channel, it's more of a, it kind of looks like a wedge, right? In the sense that usually these setups are usually a continuation pattern of uptrends, like, and also continuation of downtrends. But that was when I was only trading with price action only. But now with what I know about technical analysis and trends and stuff like that, I want to see if like there's more to this chart than what meets the eye, so to say. So obviously here I would look to sell where the price is at, because we have this point there where it was basically a supply zone where we started selling off, and then the price went there. This was the demand zone, and then so the price went up again. So my thing here is I want us to look at the overall movement of what's been happening, right? So with the overall movement, you see that this is when Bitcoin, basically nobody knew about Bitcoin, and there was just like some hearsay there and there, and people didn't really believe in that and stuff like that. And then that's when we saw the spike here, right? And this was the big Bitcoin bubble that happened. This was in 2017, and then ever since then the price sort of like went like the price has been making lower lows and lower highs. So it's been like a downtrend ever since. But if we're looking at the overall picture, we can see that this was basically a low, the lowest point, right? And this was a high, right? And then this is where our basically higher low was at, and then this was a high again, and then this was a higher low again, because it seems like this, like basically the lows are getting higher and higher again. So I have a reason to believe that maybe there might be a relationship that we can draw based on this, right? So maybe if we do it like this, you see what I mean? So basically now the price, all of the price action is basically laying on top of the trend line that we have now, and we can see that basically the price is doing the same thing. You see, this very trend line that we have right here, we could have drawn it here, right? In the sense that if I just move this, I'm just gonna move this a bit higher, and then we're gonna move this trend line and draw it like this. Now, yeah. So now, when we pay attention to what's been happening here only, right, you can see that the price was sort of like isolated, meaning that all of the price action and the candlesticks was isolated between this reversal line here and this trend line, right? So this trend line and this reversal line was what's really isolating the price. So when we talk about isolation now, what we mean to say is there's less and less space for the price to like obey within, right? So obviously with the less space the price has, it has to get to a point where now the price has to break out of that space, right? And this is when it happened. So this was a huge buy signal, but you kind of you'd have to be out of your mind to think that just because of that it was gonna reach that other high that it pulled off during the Bitcoin bubble that happened there. So obviously it didn't do that. We got a lower high, right? But there was enough profit to be made there, right? And we see the price make a start to make lows again, lower highs and lower lows, and then it comes back, it bounces back to the main trend line that we're having here, because this was the reversal line, as I said, guys, right? And this is the trend line that we have right now, right? And then so the price was kind of like isolating itself again, because there was like right now, let me just draw the line so you get it so it's more clear to you guys, because I can see a whole lot of things going on without having to draw all these things, but I would assume that it makes more sense to you guys when I actually represent it visually so you can understand. So boom, this is what I'm telling you guys about, right? So when you're looking at this now, we see that price is basically doing the same thing that happened here. The same thing that happened here is the same thing that happened here, right? So the price is isolated between the trend line and the reversal line, right? And so what you would do here is the same thing that you would do here. So we saw that the price rejected to break out here, and then it went back to the main trend line, and then it didn't want to go below the trend line. So we saw a bounce there, and then the price started going up. So how you would trade this is like this, right? So what you would do is you would have to wait for the first candlestick that actually closes outside of that time frame, right? And I'm looking at this on a weekly basis, so obviously we'd have to enter a lot sooner maybe on a daily time frame candle close or a H4 candle close. That's where you would enter. So your entry will most likely be somewhere in this zone that's supposed to be the SL. That's the SL now, and your SL, you'd put it, the sooner you'd actually enter this trade is the more you'd put the the SL along the lines of the recent low, which would be somewhere here. But if you're operating solely on a weekly time frame, then you would have to put your SL. You would have to enter the trade at the first candlestick that closes outside of this zone that we're talking about, and this is the candlestick that I'm talking about. So you have to buy there and have your SL at the trend line, because you know that if it goes back to the trend line, then most likely it won't go back, it won't go up. So this kind of strategy is I think of it as very simple, because you get to see if the price is gonna do what you think it's gonna do soon. Because if it actually went up and goes back down here, then that's your cue to know that, okay, I should close the trade, because most likely it's not gonna go there. And if you open the trade and you see strong momentum, that's when you know that I should just keep this trade open and keep raising the SL the higher the price goes, and eventually it's gonna kick you out, but you're gonna secure a whole lot of money, right? So now here, what's going on here? So what I think is going on here is, I think that the price is gonna reject this whole thing. I think we're gonna see a rejection of this reversal line, and by that I mean I think the price is gonna come back down here and then break out, because I think there's still enough. So my reason is this: I'm seeing a whole lot of space for the price to operate under. So if you see what happened here, the price sort of filled up that whole gap before breaking out, and here we still have a gap that's opened. So this gap that's still open translates to basically a trade that's gonna be a bit spontaneous, because you might buy and the price might bounce back and as to fill up this void and stuff like that. So it's still a bit, it's still a bit risky to buy here according to what I'm seeing. But I'm gonna be looking for signs of, you see the bearish candlestick that rejected to actually break out of this trend, this reversal line. That was a sign of to signal that it's a supply zone, meaning the price was gonna start dropping down. And then we see the next candlestick break out. So I'm not sure what's about to happen, so I'm gonna wait to see the next couple of daily candlesticks and see if they showing strength. And then maybe if they're showing strength, we might have to enter some few short-term trades. Keep in mind, I'm saying short-term trades, but for a long-term trade like this, you would have to wait for this gap to be filled out. But even if you don't fill up this void, even if you don't fill up this gap and we see the price actually go up, then we'll still use it as an opportunity to like have a few short-term trades there and there, maybe in the daily time frame and the H4 and stuff like that. But also I wanted to confirm, that's what I wanted to confirm to you guys. And if I just want to connect this trend line with this previous high, because you see we have a low and a higher low, so we connect them. We have a high and a lower high, so and more lower high, so we can actually connect it to see if it's gonna help us understand this chart better or something, So I'm gonna move this down so I can operate. And by the way, today guys, I'm using TradingView because it's just more volatile for this kind of chart. You understand what I'm saying? So even if we remove this trend line now and then we only left with these two like that, right? And then I'm gonna have this extended there. Then I'm gonna change the color of this. The blue purple line is our reversal line, and then this is our reversal line, and then this is our trend line, right? So even when we connect the highs and connect the lows, we see that what's basically happening ever since 2017 on December is the price is filling out this whole gap. And what I'm seeing is there's gonna be a breakout somewhere in a similar fashion that happened here. There's gonna be a breakout somewhere, probably to new highs or something, and that's gonna be when you should really get into this Bitcoin. But for now, we can see some short-term opportunities, and if I'm being completely transparent, I would think that we should sell, because we have this point there where we started seeing a sell off. We have this point where we had a sell off again, and then now we're here. So let's just wait a couple of moments, and I'm also gonna update you guys as the week goes. But I just want you to keep this chart in your minds, because this is gonna be a very important one, right? This is gonna be a very important one. And if we actually start seeing bearish momentum, then you'd have to sell it. You'd have to actually sell it like this. When if we go to this daily chart now, we can even start to see some. We can now see some weakness this day into this chart. Like we had a breakout there, and then we broke back down, and then we went back and we still rejected again. So that's showing weakness. So most likely we're gonna have to sell this. And if you're selling this, I would likely advise you to sell somewhere at this point. Somewhere at this point, and sell somewhere at this point as the price goes down, right? And then have your TP somewhere here, and you're gonna put your SL exactly at the recent high, which is here. So your SL has to be somewhere there. It has to be somewhere there. So you're getting a higher risk to reward ratio either way. So that's just how I want you to look at this. I'm gonna send this to the WhatsApp group that I talk about in the other video. So if this is your first time at Supreme Traders YouTube channel, I have a WhatsApp group where I send these charts to, right? I send all this analysis that I do. I send the charts to the group. It's free of charge. You don't have to do anything. I'm just gonna send the charts there, so you can click the link in the description box. Is going to take you to the group. I send some analysis, like I said, and also some signals now and then, to just like help you recoup the losses that you make sometimes. And that's it for me today. Hope you liked the video. If you did, don't be afraid to like the video, share, subscribe, and do all that kind of fun stuff, right? I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.